Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
This week, we are in the bus in Florida. We are traveling around the southeast portion of the United States, taking a little break, but also to find stories of innovators doing interesting things and interesting projects. So if you want to follow and see what we're up to, follow us over on Instagram, and I'll be posting pictures as we travel around. So I am recording today's show in the new Prevost bus that is our mobile studio, but also our home on wheels. So check it out, and love to hear from you. Today's show is a little different. It's actually addressing a question that I get from people, particularly those who are frustrated. They're working on a new project and they're just drawing a blank on ideas. They're struggling. Or maybe the ideas they get are all kind of fairly incremental. And the question is, how do they get that spark back? How do they reignite their ability to come up with really, really great ideas? And the way I think about this is, what is killing their creativity? What is killing their personal ability to be highly creative? And this applies not just to innovators creating a new product or a new service, but it also impacts artists and photographers and musicians and podcasters and any number of careers or jobs or activities we have going on in which we need to bring our creativity to that opportunity. So today's show is answering this question: what is the most common reason we lose our creativity? We lose our ability to be creative. What is killing our creativity? So you don't want to go anywhere. You want to stay for this entire show and take notes, because this is something that you have to remind yourself. We get caught in the trap. We get these highs and these lows. This is the show you want to listen to when you're in that low, when you think you've lost your muse. So before we jump into the segment of the show, I would ask you to like this show and subscribe. You can subscribe any number of ways, wherever you are watching this show. If you're watching it on YouTube or you're listening to it by podcast, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any more future episodes. So again, like it, give us a comment, and subscribe. And with that, let's jump into today's show. Each of us has had a time when we just could not bring creativity to the job or the project at hand. We've all struggled. Some would call it creativity block, kind of like writer's block, where you're staring at a blank sheet of paper or a flip chart or a stack of Post-it notes and nothing comes to mind. We search for the muse, for that spark, for that inspiration. We even try to recreate the environment from a time in our career when we were highly creative. We struggle. We sometimes felt like we just lost something. Nothing seems to work. We're struggling and struggling and struggling. So what is killing your creativity? What is causing you not to be able to come up with those ideas? You are the biggest killer of your creativity. Now, it's not you because of who you are, or your personality from the standpoint of an introvert or an extrovert or whatever. It is your ego, your vanity. Now, what is ego? Ego is a sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Vanity is that excessive pride in one's appearance or in our achievement. Those are the people that kind of do that humble brag about they got this award or achieved this accomplishment. And this ego and vanity, yeah, it can happen younger in the career, but those that are in kind of the mid-cycle of the career or later in the career really from this. Now, in addition to your ego and vanity, it also plays out that it plays a little bit of that fear of failure, right? That panic when you're being called upon to be highly creative, highly innovative, and you're not. You're just not. And there's that fear, that stress. And as you pound into it and you work harder at it, guess what? The fear gets worse. Now, the choices you make about what the ideas and where you should be searching for ideas and where you should be using as the inspiration or those little nuggets to get started on a project, those choices you make are biased towards making yourself look and feel good. Now, you don't do this intentionally. You don't let the biases of, ooh, I do really good on this project. I'm gonna, get that big promotion, and therefore I'm gonna choose maybe something not as risky because if I fail, then I'm not gonna get that promotion. We're not doing that. We're not thinking through those issues consciously, but through our subconscious. And it's that subconscious that just does certain things automatically. Now, this self-serving bias is all about maintaining yours and my image that makes us feel good, which feeds our ego, feeds our vanity, and it turns into this vicious cycle, right? And what I've seen with a lot of what I think are highly creative people, they get caught up in this cycle. And as they get later in their career and they've achieved some creative success, they tend to get into a rut. If you look at highly innovative individuals and you look at when they were most prolific, whether that's the number of photographs they produced or the number of patents that were issued, it tends to be in kind of that early to mid 30s years of age. Not 50, not 60. It's kind of in that middle and early 30s is when people tend to be the most productive. Now, this applies to great artists such as Ansel Adams, to some of the early breakthroughs with Thomas Edison, to Nikola Tesla, to musicians, you name it. Now, it's not universal. I know some of you are going to be able to point out and say, look, so-and-so was prolific when they started in 55. There's always those outliers. But in general, it tends to fall into those early years. Why? Because they haven't made those achievements. They haven't had those accolades fall on them. They haven't been highlighted or profiled in press. They haven't been held up as somebody to follow or somebody to copy what they do, and maybe that'll rub off on you. As you achieve success, it becomes harder and harder. It kind of feeds the ego. Sometimes you'll hear the term, don't believe your own press. Now, this all tends to manifest itself. How? You will creatively act in ways that fit into how you want to be perceived by others. If you've been identified as a top innovator under 30, one of the most creative, leading one of the teams on the Fast Company, most innovative, then all of a sudden you start falling into this trap of, I got to do this again. I need to repeat this. I've got a certain image that I have to meet. I can't take the risks. If I have a big failure, then that detracts from this image that I've worked hard, this brand that I have created. Now, you may be asking yourself, so, oh, no, I don't act this way. That's not me. You don't know me. Come on. Do not think you do not act this way. If you are honest, and I mean truly honest, you will see that you have ego and vanity that gets in the way. Your lifestyle, your personal appearance, your social status, your reputation, your identity, those are the things that impact the creative risk you are willing to take. Now, how do I know this? Because I am speaking to myself. I've had been fortunate to have early success in my career in the innovation space. Really early in my career, in my mid to late 20s, I won 2 Best Product of the Year awards 2 years in a row. Unheard of in that era. Um, I've been 3 times, have led teams that went on to win Fast Company's Most Innovative Teams. I've done numerous products. I've got a book, a podcast, a radio show, right? And believe me, what I'm sharing with you today comes from my own self-reflection. As I look back and say, what am I doing today compared to what I did early in my career, starting in my mid-20s? I'm now 60. What is it that I did then, and how is it that I act now? And I'll tell you, I act completely differently. I have a brand. I have a reputation. I have the accolades. Yes, I have an ego. We all have egos, right? And I recognize that I let that get in the way. I let it hold me back. My bias is to take safer bets. Don't be as risky, potentially impact your brand or your or reputation. You want people to like you. You want people to go keep throwing the accolades at you. We tend to get I don't want to call it addicted to that positive feedback that we constantly get. And so with that, then we want to feed into it. We want to do more of it. What is it we used to do that got those accolades? Can I do that again? But we take less risk. As more accolades, as our reputation gets built up, we will take less risk. So be honest, and I mean be truly honest with yourself. You will see that you have an ego and that your vanity gets in the way. Now, to achieve creative success, you need to let go of your ego and be aware of that vanity. Now, disconnecting your creativity from your ego opens you up to take risks that open opportunities for outside success. Innovation success, creativity success is based on risk. Without risk, you are just doing incremental to what is already being done. Maybe you're an artist or you're a photographer and you got some early recognition. What do? You keep taking the same kinds of photographs. If you're a painter, maybe you got some early awards and reputation for some early paintings. What do? You make more and more paintings just like that. If you're a technology innovator, you've had some success, you drill and go for the next innovation in that same space because that's what you're known for and that's what you're going to try to build upon. So without risk, you are just doing incremental to what is already being done. You're just repeating. Maybe slight variation, repeat. Now, with risk, you open up areas never before considered. And that's what happens when you can check the ego to the side, when you can check that vanity, when you don't care what other people think about you. You don't care about what that perceived reputation is that you have built up. You need to be willing to take that risk. Without taking risk, you are killing your creativity. Now, warning here, disconnecting from your vanity is extremely hard, if not nearly impossible for some people. And I'm sure we all know some people that you can look at who've got oversized egos and have a vanity that is just, beyond scale. They will never be able to disconnect. They wallow in that ego and in that vanity. But disconnecting from your vanity is extremely hard. And if it was easy, then everyone would be able to park it and be highly creative. You're already stepping out. You're listening to me today. You're obviously interested in creativity and innovation and improving your own skill sets. So it tells me that you're willing to try. That we have to find a way to park our egos, park our vanity. So starting today, become self-aware and keep your ego and vanity at bay. So how do you do that? The biggest way to do that is stop comparing yourself to others. Stop comparing yourself. Each of us are on a different creative journey. We all sometimes have slow years. Some of us have growth spurts in our creativity. We are each on our own path. The path I'm on is not the path you should be on, nor the path that somebody else should be on. We are all on our own different paths. And no two paths are the same. If you try to follow my exact career and what I went through, holy smokes, get ready. You're going to go through a lot of pain, right? Don't. Find your own path, right? So stop comparing. Stop saying, well, if I don't have the same path as Elon Musk, then I'm not going to be as successful. And my identification of success is I want to have as much money as Elon. That's your motivation. I can warn you right now, don't focus on the money. Focus on other things. The money comes, right? But no two paths on our creativity will be the same. The path I took versus the path somebody else's took, completely different. And both could have, meaningful and successful careers. As long as you keep comparing yourself to others through things like, how many likes do you give on a post you've written or a blog you've written, how many shares, accolades for past projects, number of patents awarded, all of any kind of metric. If you keep using that, keep comparing yourself to others, you are going to be disappointed. You are feeding that ego. You are feeding that vanity. And with that, that is killing your creativity. Now, I recently posted on social media my belief that social media actually hurts, not helps, your ability to be creative. Social media is not reality. Now, I post there because I find it as an interesting platform that I can reach more and more people, can share my thoughts, but I don't share and post, a lot of information. It's things that I think are useful. It's not about the comparison. So my firm belief is that social media is not a reality. It gives us the idea that, we're not as good as somebody else. We're not as good as, a better photographer than us, or a better engineer than us, or a better inventor, or a better CEO, or better whatever, right? Social media, I'm going to repeat this again. Social media is not reality. Because again, it's trying to tell us that we're not as good as others. And don't believe it. Do not believe it. You are the best you. Be you. Don't be somebody else. Don't try to be somebody else. You are the best you. Your creativity, your ideas, your innovations are uniquely you. Don't shy away from it. Don't try to make it look or sound like somebody else's or somebody similar to somebody you admire. Don't do that. Do not let this comparison model get in the way. Because if you do that comparison and you don't feel you're as good as somebody else, then you will get caught in this negative talk. I'm not as good. Why should I try? Oh, this is a stupid idea. And then pretty soon, any attempt to be creative totally evaporates, totally goes away. Why? Because why should you try? And then all of a sudden you lose that spark, lose that ability to be creative, you lose that ability to be highly innovative. And then the end result is you're not. You can't generate the ideas. You can't be creative. And as I said many, many times, we are in this transition from an information and knowledge economy to the creative and innovation economy. The value that people receive in the form of compensation, success, and recognition will be based on the ideas that they generate. So you need to find that way to constantly feed and exercise and nurture that creativity, and letting your ego and letting vanity get in the way, both positive in the form of you get a recognition, you woo, pat yourself on the back, and all of a sudden you become conservative. The negative is you're comparing yourself to others, and you start believing the lie that you're not as good, you're not as creative, you're not as innovative. And that is not true. Absolutely not true. Do not believe it. You are highly creative. You are highly innovative. Your ideas are great ideas. You need to get out of this comparison, and you need to go execute. You need to go take those ideas, and you need to experiment with them, try them, show them to others, release them, give them legs, give them to somebody else, partner with somebody who can help take your idea and do something with it. That is absolutely, absolutely critical. So don't get caught in this comparison. That's the negative side of that ego side. Ego can be positive, as I said. You get the accolades, you start believing your own press, you have a very high self-regard for yourself. Or the negative, you negatively talk to yourself and tell yourself that you're not as good because you're doing this comparison, like through social media. I can't tell you how many times people reach out to me and ask, how do you get more subscribers for our podcast? How do you get more followers on Instagram? How do you get the blue check mark on Facebook? How did I get the blue check mark on Twitter, right? I don't focus on that. Never have. And in fact, the total subscriber count for this podcast is not as big as some of you may think it is. Right? Yes, we're now going into season 16. Yes, we are the longest continuously produced podcast in history. But at the same time, this is a little bit of niche content. This content is aimed at those who are interested in creativity, in innovation, in leadership, in career success. How do you bring that entire you, that creative you, to your job, to your team, to develop those innovations that are going to be breakthroughs, that are going to be game-changing? It's not a huge audience out there, and I recognize that. And if I got driven by the fact of how many subscribers or how many downloads I get per week of the podcast, I would have given this up probably 10 years ago. Now that I've been doing it we're in year 16, starting season 17 here soon. So don't believe it. Don't do the comparison. Get out of that mode. Now, I will also admit to you that I'm probably not as good at this as I need to be. I do have to catch myself. I do have to be self-aware. I do have to put kind of reminders in place to remind myself not to get sucked in. Don't let the ego get in the way. Now, in my case, my wife plays a key role, as we jokingly say, of keeping my head small enough so it fits through the front door. My kids, my grandkids, right? They do the same thing. I'm nothing special. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm a friend. And don't let that ego get in the way, because as I've said before, if you let that ego and vanity get in the way, that is what will absolutely kill your creativity. So what is that the biggest thing that kills creativity? It is you. And it is your ego and vanity. And you can get around that, and you can unleash your creativity to create that next breakthrough, game-changing innovation that will transform the world. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Help me help others by sharing today's show with someone you think needs to hear the message. I'm sure you've heard from your peers and friends that they may be struggling with being creative, struggling with self-confidence around innovation and creativity. Share this episode with them. Interested in finding others who are passionate about creativity and innovation? It's hard to be on your own. It's hard to be an island. Visit the innovators.community. It's a free community. It's made up of creatives, artists, innovators, all learning from each other, all encouraging each other, all being there to answer questions and offer support. So check it out, theinnovators.community. It's where I hang out. I usually post there at least every day, if not every other day. So you want to check that out. And there's also a great way for you to find maybe innovators in the region or countries that you live in that you can meet up with and team up with even. So now, with today's topic around creativity, the one other follow-up question I get is, how do I unlock creativity? How do I learn the skill? Well, one way to do that is to participate in a virtual session of the Disruptive Ideation Workshop. This is a workshop that I wrote. It's actually hosted by the Innovators Network. They have trainers that will do a virtual session on Zoom or come on site when we're past the pandemic. So you want to try that out. This is a workshop where you will learn how to unlock your creativity to create game-changing, disruptive ideas. And where can you find out more information about that? Visit disruptiveideation.com. Again, that's disruptiveideation.com. Has all the information. It has a button there. You can send information, and the people over at the Innovators Network will reach out to you. We are on the road, as I said at the start of today's show. We are in the bus. This is a bus that we purchased over a year ago, and then COVID happened. So this is actually our first extended trip. We will be on the road for about 6 weeks. So a number of the episodes of the show will be coming to you from the bus. If you want to check out the bus, hop on over to Instagram. You can follow us there. I'll try to remember to post on a more frequent basis. Right now, we are in the panhandle of Florida, heading to the other side of Florida next week for some discussions that involve healthcare. So you're not going to want to miss those future episodes. But if you see us on the road, stop, say hi. Love to chat with you. And we will continue to be producing the show. So nothing's going to slow down while we're on the road. We do this from the bus. And so with that, I want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us here. Love to have your feedback. Drop me a message over at phil@killerinnovations.com. That email comes directly to me. Love to hear from you, hear your thoughts. If you've got a topic or you've got a question you think would be interesting or something that other people might find valuable, send it to me. You can send it to me by email. You can also post it over at the Innovators community. You can direct message me there, or you can just post it up on the main messaging boards over at the community. And if I find it interesting, you never know, it might become a future episode of the show. With that, thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.